Lions, turduckens, and bears, oh my. This is Sports Idiot Nation, and today we're going to discuss all these fights in football and find out who still has some fight in them. Also, we'll find out why your team sucks.
Sports, comedy, pop culture, and everything in between. By idiots, for idiots.
Looks like the NFL has a new frontrunner for Sportsman of the Year.
This is Sports Idiot Nation.
Sports, comedy, pop culture, and everything in between. By idiots, for idiots. Welcome, sinners. This is Sports Idiot Nation.
Welcome in to a brisk December, all you sinners. I am Adam Marino, joined by Miles behind enemy lines and Mr. 32,000. Congrats to T.I. on 32,000 followers on Facebook. You can find him at Titans Idiot Nation. This is the show that comes to you twice a week, every Monday and Thursday, a weekly recap show, and then we come to Thursday as well to go over all things sports, comedy, pop culture, and everything in between. Now, today is a little bit different, a little bit more action-packed because we had so much action from Thursday, from Thanksgiving on until just 12 hours ago, as in Buffalo, it's still snowing. There's now 19 feet of snow left in Buffalo. So we're just going to start by going, I think, chronologically. So the first thing about Thursday, I'll say, is, boys, we had talked about the game that would be probably the best game, ended up being the only game that was the two-score game in Green Bay. So let's start with, Chicago. Let's just start Chicago. T.I., when you saw those 30 seconds, as someone who is a social media content creator, were you just was you just chomping at the bit to post something? Did you watch it live?
Dude, yeah, I was watching it live. This is I'm going to reenact what happened when I was watching it. I literally was screaming at my television going, "What the are you doing? What in the ever living are you doing?" And I'm sitting there just going what is, not only are you making mistakes, terrible mistakes, because we obviously see he lost his job, but what was going through not only his head, Caleb Williams' head. Caleb Williams afterwards is like, well, that's above my pay grade. No, it's not. You're drafted to be the leader of the team. You know that you had time. You know you should have called timeout. What in the world are you doing? So, yeah, I literally was screaming at my television. I was so caught up in the fact of how ridiculous and dumb that was that I didn't even post about it till later, because I was just like, I can't believe I witnessed that. A team that is literally on the brink of playoff elimination, who needed that win more than anybody. They're not going to make the playoffs anyway, but they could have ran off a couple and made it respectable. But the team that everyone anointed in the offseason as the biggest turnaround, they've as we said, last week, they've replenished the roster from top to bottom on both sides of the ball, and and all three of us are just like, nah, they're still the Bears, And so yeah, I was just screaming at my television I can't believe this is actually happening before my eyes, and this is real. It's not an SNL skit. This is reality right before my eyes, So I don't know about you guys, but I just could not believe it. If my jaw could have dropped any lower, it would have hit the floor. I mean, right. I was just like, are you kidding me?
So
a guy that's clinging to his job was like, yeah, I stand by my decisions on that. Bro, what? That's why you lost your job, because you said that you stood by your decision. You should have been, no, that was a terrible mistake on my behalf. I should have never done that. I'm very embarrassed. He might still have his job. Instead, he's like, no, that was the right decision. They're like, all right, out the door.
Just crazy. So Miles, before we get your take on that, I want to point out one thing that I saw in over 1,500 instances where it's 30 seconds left and a timeout is to be had inside the 30-yard line. Every single time, at least a field goal was attempted. out of over 1,500 times. This was the only time in NFL history that didn't happen. So, Miles, what did you think as the clock was ticking? Were you calling for them to hurry up and get the playoff, or wanting them to call timeout?
No, I think it's pretty straightforward. Everyone's saying, "Oh, they should have called timeout." Absolutely not. No, they need to get the goddamn playoff. They wasted almost 25 seconds to
Right.
get the damn playoff. No, the right decision was not to take a timeout. The right decision wasn't to snap the ball with 4 seconds. It was to snap the ball with 29 seconds
Sure.
on the clock. It should have been a moot point that, whoa, they didn't use that final timeout. No, Caleb Williams, the audacity to say that's above my pay grade. No, you dumbass. Play football.
Yeah, let me backtrack a little bit. I agree with Miles' point. The fact that when I was screaming like call timeout was because they've let all that time go. That was my thing.
No,
My thing, like they clearly should have came
that's-
up and got the playoff, but since they didn't, when I'm sitting here watching the clock, I'm like, what are you doing? Like you are in no man's land right now. Call a timeout.
Yeah, once you hit
and
12
Adam,
seconds,
to
you
your
have to use it then.
yeah, and Adam, to your point of those 1,500 times, the reason why this time it didn't is because this was the only time of those 1,500 that Matt Eberflus was in charge. So, that's probably why. So,
Just wild. And now here come the memes. Here come just everything, social media coming in. What was cool was before that even happened, this is reason 547 to follow us on social media, because we had a pretty solid post going for first half Caleb Williams and second half Caleb Williams. As if you follow the show, Miles, go ahead and make that face again for one of the dragons.
it's pretty
There
good.
it is.
Pretty good.
Hopefully watching on YouTube or Spotify, the most fun way to watch
we
it
should
on
all,
YouTube, of course.
we should all count to 3 and just make that face at the same time.
All right,
1,
one,
2,
two,
2,
three.
Wait. Time out. So we have to coordinate this better because two of you have to
called
make a
timeout, but
mean
Matt
face.
Eberflus couldn't.
Yeah, right. No, two of us have to make a mean face because you're really, strong
Okay, well,
and intense. And
Miles
good
is in the
one.
middle, at least right now on my screen. So let's Adam, you and I will make the mean faces, and Miles can make the special face. All right.
I'll go the other way with my tongue.
All right.
So
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening. I know we have
3,
derailed, and that's good.
Idiot is in the name.
Fail. All right. So there was a funny post of Caleb Williams was basically, we could have outdone him in the first half. But honestly, man, I will give him credit. In the second half, he was an NFL quarterback. And so we posted that. And then, like, within maybe 8 minutes of that post, because, like, they were looking good, that's when he, just lollygagged for those 30 seconds. So that game was in the books. And then Dallas and New York, we're not going to spend time on 8th string quarterbacks is who is playing that. It was a whatever. But the game that we thought would be actually the better game ended up being Tua wanting to change the narrative that he can't play in cold weather. Hey, guys, can he play in cold weather? Nope.
I mean,
So-
that's what we said. That's what we said in the last episode. We were like, well, we all saw what happened when they went to KC. So, and
Yeah, dude.
happened again. Showed him on the sidelines, like just completely shell shocked. Like, what is this like 26-degree weather that we're experiencing?
So the next debacle to talk about is the next day then. And I know T.I. at least wasn't able to watch it live because we were chatting back and forth. But
Well, I did. I watched like up until late in the third, and then I had to hop on the road.
there wasn't any drama until right after you.
I watched it. I watched it long enough to watch my off-season boyfriend Brock Bowers destroy a lot of
Good
people's
Lord,
a lot
he's
of
still
people's
catching
fantasy teams.
passes.
I had to go against him in my fantasy. Luckily, I pulled it out. Thanks to garbage time Lamar Jackson, yesterday. So luckily I pulled it out. But yeah, Brock Bowers, man, what a stud, dude. What a stud.
Yeah, I'm going against him in the league that we're in. I went against him, and so that did not go well for me. I'm not doing very good in that league anyway.
No,
But,
you
okay,
had
so
a lot of injuries. A lot of injuries.
let's break down what happened. So my take, and Miles is good for the rules, and he's actually our anti-idiot when it comes to those kinds of things. He does know his stuff. So Miles, you correct me if I you can't see me. You correct me if I'm wrong. So here's what I thought was weird. So the Raiders are trying to get down the field to either go for the go-ahead touchdown or a field goal. And the issue is it looked like the center snapped the ball early before the rest of the team was ready. And when I have seen that before, it's been a false start. Now, I don't understand why that, because then the play is just dead, and either there could be a 10-second runoff. Now, there was only like 11 seconds left, so that would have been very detrimental. But at least you still have a chance. Now, instead, it's ruled a fumble where they can decline the penalty. It's just like when the narrative is that the refs are helping, you can't have this. What did you see, Miles?
Yeah, so well, yes, no. That basically that sums it up right there. What the hell? The whole thing is, if the center snaps the ball, he snaps the ball. The play, it doesn't matter if anyone moves or not. Now, what you're probably referring to is a lot of times that when centers do that, it's an illegal snap. Like they'll halfway and then they'll do it all the way, try not get caught. So that's why they get flagged is for an illegal snap. So there, he just snapped the ball and it was a flat out fumble. Like whether or not people move, it doesn't matter. When the ball goes, the ball goes. But that's typically the issue that you're running into there. But in that, I mean, typical situation for the Raiders. I loved it. You have a Purdue quarterback. But on the flip side of it, the Chiefs get away with it again. It's absolutely asinine.
Yeah,
And the officials did not hand them that game. The Raiders raided at the end. I mean, it was a mini version of
I did text you that.
Chicago did on Thursday. But in reality, I want to buy Caleb Williams, Matt Eberflusen, and all the Las Vegas Raiders the T-shirt that says "I'm an idiot, I can't," because I think that really fits their narrative very well.
Great segue.
Hold on, one thing before we segue out of the chefs, I saw a stat that absolutely blows my mind: 14 consecutive one-score wins for the Chiefs.
Is it really?
Yes, 14. They have an NFL record, 14 consecutive wins with one score, within one score. That's insane.
Jurassic Park it.
That is insane. They find a way. So it's like we could easily be seeing them lose 14 games in a row, but we have not. We've seen them win 14 games. I mean, not 14 games. Excuse me. Not 14 games in a row, but they've had 14 wins within one score or less. They did lose to the Bills a couple weeks ago. So, it's not a consecutive wins, but it's just the wins that they've had, the last 14 wins they've had have been by one score. Insane.
That is wild. And I love, so Miles' reference, I can't, I'm an idiot, is the segue we were looking for. These are the droids you're looking for. So
T.I. ruined it with his own story.
No, that's all right, because that was pretty stellar. I will say, T.I., you said some pretty dumb stuff before, but that wasn't one of them, so that was pretty solid. So
I appreciate that somehow.
So let me get my drink on. Let me be quiet for a little bit. Adam, do your thing. All right, I'll do my thing. So
Are you talking to yourself? You're talking to yourself right now.
Yes. In the show notes, there is a link that you can click because we have gear now, a lot like what Mr. T.I. is wearing. We have Sports Idiot Nation gear. We have coffee mugs, all kinds of accessories and things that you can now boldly wear where no man has worn before. And so, again, in the show notes, you can click, and we'll be having a website soon, a regular website. Right now, it's a link that you can click on, and I have some coming by next show on Monday. I should be fully like decked out. I'll probably be sweating because I'll have like 9 shirts. I'll be like Matt LeBlanc in Friends when he just wore his entire wardrobe and just was out there. That'll be me next show.
No, you're like taking off a shirt and it's like another shirt and another shirt.
That is correct.
Yeah.
I'll just take off. So that's very exciting. So be sure to check that out. Again, the link is in the show notes, as well as make sure that you are following us wherever you get your social media. So that was Friday. Now let's get into some more good stuff. I'm going to start on Saturday with an interesting stat because I want to get into Michigan, Ohio State. But first I want to ask Miles, how many yards did the Purdue Boilermakers have on a one Saturday?
So 67. Yep. Matt still says 67.
And how many points did IU score?
So carry the one from 66.
That has to be Ti. Is that the weirdest stat you've ever heard?
I mean, I can almost count to 66 or 67 with all my fingers and toes. So, I mean, that's an exceptional job by Purdue. It's an exceptional job. Yeah, that's pretty insane. I mean, I will say that just because, I've been working closely with Miles here, I am very familiar that Purdue is a terrible football team. If I was just an SEC, fan that didn't really pay a lot of attention to other conferences, I would be like, what in the world? But so I already knew how terrible they were. But anytime you only score that many yards, like, it's just pathetic. I mean, their basketball team scores more than that sometimes in the first half, so it's rough.
Just so wild to hear that stat. That, again, I'm going to say this again, that they had 67 total for the whole game yards in the whole game. But they gave up 66 points.
And like what, 550 yards they gave up or something? Is that what, Miles, how many yards did IU have?
Well, I think it was like 558. I forget the last total, but I remember
when you score 66.
When I started blasting everyone with the stat line in the fourth quarter, it was like 521 to 38.
Yeah, IU saw Michigan win, and they were just like taking it out on Purdue. They were like, "You son!"
They were big mad.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, it's fourth down. Screw it. We're going for a fake punt. We're up by 35. Why not?"
Oh, it was 38. Yeah.
38.
No, that's
exactly.
when he did that. When Sig did that, you knew it was on. He was going for any record he could get his hands on. Then obviously for style points, which is necessary.
Personally, that's my kind of coach. I hate these coaches that are like, "Oh, well, we've already won the game. Let's back off a little bit." I'm like, no, foot to the throat. If we hit 100, we hit 100. If the media reams us because we ran the score up, so be it. Like, those are my kind of coaches,
Style points.
It's a Big Ten.
Yeah.
It's a Big Ten game. This isn't high school JV ball.
No, for sure. So I want to do. I think it'll be fun to do Michigan and Ohio State last. Let's do all things college football because I thought it was funny what Syracuse did. Because if I'm not mistaken, wasn't that the one where Syracuse, they won 42-38? They beat number 6 Miami, and they helped. The coach said, right? Am I right on this?
Yeah. He was like, "We got you in, baby," or something. "You're welcome, baby," or something like that. I'm just like,
Dabo, I got your back.
What is that? He's trying to get a job. He's like, yeah. He's like, "Hey man, put me on your staff." I mean, Dabo is annoying anyway. I just thought that was kind of silly, but whatever. Hey, we've called it a couple times.
He's trolling Dabo, saying your team really sucked this year, and we had to bail you out by getting you in. That's what he's doing there.
I like that narrative. I'll take that narrative. Yeah. At first, I read that and I was just like, "What are you doing? That's stupid."
But here's what I wasn't sure: was that after or before Clemson lost?
Okay, a couple of things. It doesn't matter because that Clemson game was a non-conference game.
Yeah, it was South Carolina.
But it was after. It was the time slot after because Clemson, South Carolina was a noon Eastern game, and then Syracuse, Miami was 3:30 Eastern.
Speaking of Clemson, South Carolina, did you see the South Carolina fans like whipping the belt and the logo? They were like all out. They're like whipping. They had these belts and they were like whipping the logo. One of the guys was wearing a baby crying baby face. Was supposed to say he was
That's
Dabo.
okay as long as they're not taking a flag and stabbing it into the ground that we saw in 6 other games on Saturday. That's fine.
I mean, refs seem to be just fine with it. They were probably like, hey, these guys are swinging things around. Like, let's just back out of here. We don't want to deal with a bunch of drunk South Carolina fans right now swinging belts. Like, let's just get out of here. College football is crazy, man. It is absolutely crazy.
Miles, can you take us through all the fights? Let's dissect everything, and then we'll end with Michigan and Ohio State.
I don't even know I can account for all of them. Yeah, North Carolina State, which I think is the most underrated one because it's the first time in my life I've seen an official go out and say, after the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct on everyone from both squads. That's everyone's first unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. If anyone gets one more, they're ejected from the game. I have never seen that. And what is it with NC State games having these weird calls? Because it was NC State against Maryland years ago where it was the personal foul. He's giving them the business call. So whatever NC State's got going on with officials, I like it. I'm here for it.
Yeah. Personal foul, giving him the business. Yeah, what was that about?
That's iconic.
Yeah.
And then we had Missouri, Arkansas. Who gives a damn about that game? But it happened. Texas A&M, of course. Florida State, of course. That one again because that game didn't really matter. So a lot of people are forgetting that Norvell refused to shake Napier's hand at the end there, and then he finally, whatever, I'll do it. And then Norvell ran over to the flag, the Florida Gator flag at midfield, snatches it and throws it down. That one, if Florida State or Florida were either very good this year, that would be as hyped as the Ohio State-Michigan incident.
What if a player like went and grabbed it and just like chucked it like a javelin and it just goes like straight in another player's chest, like, oh my God, we have a death on the field, Well, one thing I will say about Auburn, Alabama, Auburn, Alabama did not fight because everybody knows Auburn only fights their own team on the plane for basketball. That's how they.
Only good Auburn teams are allowed to fight themselves.
That's right. And it's only in the air against each other on the plane, en route to being the number one team in college basketball. I mean, maybe not number one, but they're better.
They did that to get. Oh, Auburn's the best team in college basketball right now. There's no question about that.
But let's not get derailed. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, too early. Saying Auburn right now is the best team in college basketball is a little.
When you have 30 top 25 matchups, yes, it's.
And they have Duke. Right, they have Duke in like 2 days. So not that Duke is where they are, but they're still Duke. They're still a mental. They're still that you see their jersey and you get intimidated.
It's early. It's the 1st of December. It's the first
Houston, Iowa State, North Carolina, Memphis, Duke, Purdue. They got Purdue in 2 weeks. I mean, that's a pretty good non-conference schedule before you face SEC, which has right now 3 teams in the top 10. So
No, for sure. All right, boys. Are we ready for the breakdown of Michigan and Ohio State? Here's the funny thing. We shared. I shared in the chat. Someone put a Madden fullback dive, halfback dive, and halfback toss, the 3 plays you can pick. And it was that was Ohio State's offense. Here's the thing that I want to find out. Is this real life that you have a guru? I mean, it's fair to say he's kind of known as a college football guru in Chip Kelly, and that it's not like it was, again, talk about the snow game from last night where it's just terrible weather and all this. I'm not quite understanding the play calling and how bad some of these throws were on both sides. These interceptions and Gus Johnson. What is going on? So bad. Miles, what did you think of the play calling? Did it surprise you or not?
I have so many tangled thoughts about this because so many people are giving Chip Kelly hell for not trusting Will Howard, which is true in certain moments, but they
That's what it
act
seemed
like
like.
they didn't throw the ball at all. Will Howard still had 33 pass attempts, whereas Michigan attempted less than half of that. They had 16 pass attempts.
Yeah,
But
because they
when
suck.
when the rubber met the road, they were not going to trust Will Howard, which makes me smile and laugh because of all the BS he was doing, the Google Me crap and the stomping out the say, cool, bro, you just beat a team at home that went 3-9 last year. Like, I bet you feel
Yeah.
good about your life. And now the week after, it's Will Howard. Like, we're not even going to give you a chance to beat Michigan because we don't believe you can do it. The rest of our team can't do it, apparently, but you definitely can't do it. So it was very puzzling with the way that the D line is for Michigan. I guess they saw it as a big enough threat that they didn't want Will Howard to drop back. And when yards, not just points, but yards were at a premium in that game, they didn't want to get behind the stick. So run, run, run. And then they still figured out a way to throw the ball 33 times. It didn't feel like it because when the game was on the line in the second half, they might as well have run the single wing offense.
Just so odd. I remember we were in the chat talking, and I answered the phone, and it was like first and goal from the 1/2 inch line for Michigan, and all of a sudden I look up and Ohio State has the ball. I'm like,
I thought-
what is happening?
And the score was the same. It wasn't like they scored and they kicked off and got the ball.
I thought, Adam, when you said you answered the phone, I thought it was Chip Kelly calling to ask you what play he should run. So I didn't know,
Why not? Why the hell not? What difference would it make?
Chip Kelly. Yeah, you're right. He is an offensive guru. He was responsible for getting Marcus Mariota drafted. So
Yeah.
I mean, I know he wasn't
And
the coach, but
Auburn
he
not
installed
winning
but he
another
installed
national
that system. He installed that system out there at Oregon.
He gave you a national championship at Auburn, so you're welcome.
Well, that's true. True. Well, I don't know about that. I don't know if he gave it to us, but yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. It was the little guy. I can't remember his name. He wound up being a complete tool.
Michael James.
Yes.
The
No,
running back
not on him. The Auburn running back. Oh, I can't remember his name.
Michael Dyer.
Michael Dyer, who wound up being a piece of you know what. And ironically,
debris.
I was on vacation in Gulf Shores. I had a stitched Michael Dyer jersey in my hand. This was before this happened. My wife was like, nah, why would you not get that over Cam Newton? And I was like, well, they don't have my size. And she was like, I wouldn't get that. And boy, did she save me from that one, because that's a jersey you just don't wear, So shout out to my wife for saving my ass on that one.
She's a keeper, I guess.
Did he end up getting pepper sprayed? Because I
think
know
he
some
did.
players that Michigan Ohio State game
Well,
did.
that was what I was going to say. Is that has to be a first, right? College players getting pepper sprayed on the field.
So, let's get into that now. So that the game is what it was. The horrible play calling, horrible execution. It was just crazy the way that it went down. That Michigan, like we were saying, joking again in the chat. Here, you win. No, you win. No, I don't want to win. No, you win. No, you don't want to. I don't want to.
It's like that the South Park episode, the Little League episode, where they're like, "No,
Right.
we don't want to. We don't want to win. We want to enjoy our summer." And it's like, "No, we're losing. No, we're losing."
Green.
Yeah, and the dads are like, "We got to fight today, Sharon." It's like, "No, you don't have
I
to
didn't hear
fight."
no damn bell.
Oh, what a great episode, man!
We're starting to find a way to talk about South Park more and more. We may need to talk more about that another episode. We'll see soon.
South Park Idiot Nation coming soon.
Yeah. Shout out to all of our Idiot Nations. Ti, why don't you tell us about how many? Let's go through them all from
All right,
racing and go down the line here.
yeah. Let's do this real quick. So shout
Titans, obviously.
Yeah, Titans, yeah, obviously this is where it all started. But we're
So-
back. We're backtracking because obviously I did it wrong, right? Because once this blew up, I started talking about other things other than Titans and other teams. People are like, "That's not Titans related." So we are backtracking and building bases so we can expand to individual teams, right? So with that being said, shout out to Devin who has took the racing and has driven off with it, pun intended. With that, we joked about Turtles Idiot Nation. We went ahead and made that a reality. So we've got Turtles Idiot Nation On top of that, we've got Puck Idiot Nation, which will be branching off into teams. A lot of people have been like, well,
What the fuck?
why isn't it Preds Idiot Nation?
Yeah.
It's like eventually there will be a Preds Idiot Nation, but right now we're building that base. We got Hoops Idiot Nation. We do have Gridiron Idiot Nation, but we haven't officially launched it. I'm waiting for beginning of the year, waiting for playoffs to initiate that. Playoffs. We also have a little one in the works with Mr. Joshua Toomey, Rock Idiot Nation. We have not made a formal announcement of that. He's working up a plan. He's got some ideas. We're going to go full force with that. Super excited. That's going to be our music side of things. And yeah, we're ever expanding, ever growing. We told everyone at the beginning of the year that we were going to build a network, and that's what we're doing. You know, I had a dream. You know, I maybe not as prominent as Martin Luther King, but I had a dream as well. And I had a dream that I will spread the idiot gospel all across the globe. And that's what we're doing. So we got racing, we got puck, we got hoops, we got gridiron, we got turtles, we got sports, we got rock. And who knows where this idiot nation road before us leads us. You know, we're the sky's the limit. All right. Sky's the limit. We might have outer space idiot nation soon. Who knows?
I'm an idiot. I can't.
And yeah, speaking of, visit our Printerful shop. You can find the link on our website. We have lots of good shirts. If your team sucks or you want to tell somebody else their team sucks, we have your team sucks in all team colors. We have alternate colors for all divisions, all conferences, whether you're a fan of the Bengals, whether you're a fan of the Ratbirds, God help you, whether you're a fan of the Las Vegas Raiders, the Kansas City Chiefs, even Adam's teams and the Niners. We've got some awesome Seahawks colored gear. I mean, I'm not a Sea Chickens fan, but if I was, I'd be all over their shirts.
Those shirts are dope. So I'm going to explain that. So here's what's cool. Let's say that you are a Seattle Seahawk fan. The way that it works is you go to our page. Remember, the link is in the description here. So you click that, and then you go to, in this case, it would be NFC West. And then it'll say your team sucks, but I will admit that Seattle's colors look pretty dope on shirts and gear and accessories, right? Because Phil Knight, Nike, that all started. I get it. It's cool. And so you can get in Seahawk colors, you can get where it says your team sucks. And then it's cool because you wear that whenever you're playing not only an NFC West opponent, but really any opponent. And people know that, oh, you're a Seahawks fan, even though your shirt only says your team sucks. That's all it says. However, it's in the Seahawk colors. Now, again, say for Cleveland, it's orange and then the brown, right?
Yeah.
And so
it looks good. The Cleveland one looks real good. Also, the Vikings one looks really good. The purple and yellow just looks good together. So yeah, there's some good stuff.
Here's what I love about it. So I actually purchased, I told you guys, I purchased one of the Cleveland brown ones. It says your team sucks. I made sure it was actually orange and black, I think, and because that is San Francisco Giants. So now during baseball season, I can wear that with my ball cap and be ready to go. Like, it's really cool. I got a Rams one, as the blue and yellow checks out to be also like a UCLA and a Golden State Warrior. I'm like, cha-ching, because I do want to find a young lass to take February 14th, Valentine's Day. My UCLA Bruins go into Bloomington, and play the Indiana Hosers. And so that'll be cool, and I'll rock that shirt, no doubt, you know. So it's like, that's what's really cool. So make sure you check out the website, because we have something for literally everyone.
And we're
cool.
We're going to always keep adding to it. I mean, in the event of the Michigan-Ohio State game, we added, Ann Arbor's a nice lady. So we're going to constantly be expanding, constantly adding, like, if something happens in a game that's crazy, for instance, when Sam Darnold was seeing ghosts a couple years ago, like, we would have hit that. We would have had a Sam Darnold Ghostbuster shirt or something like that would be available immediately. And that's our goal, you know. We love sports. We love talking sports, but we also love looking like an idiot. And we are proud to look like an idiot. And you should be too.
And I will say the prices, honestly, are really competitive. Like, no one can complain about our prices, because to be honest, I think they're below what you see on a lot of these other sites of like $43, $49 for a freaking hoodie. Like you can look and see what ours are. And again, I'll be sporting it soon when it comes in later this week. Hopefully,
Yeah, I've got some coming as well. So does Miles. So I bet we'll all be rocking our stuff. I made a special TI Christmas one that's Santa hat and sunglasses, and I have that coming any day. And
dope.
I'm really happy about that because a lot of people have asked me like, why don't you do a Christmas shirt? I want you to do a Halloween shirt, but I never had the ability to because I have to buy 100 of them. It's like, well, I can't do that. Now with Printful handling the printing and the shipping, we can just do whatever we want. We can just make a shirt, and if no one ever buys it or one person buys it, doesn't matter. We're not paying any money. So
I will say you're welcome, TI, because I went through our group text. I didn't realize I actually found that site first and shared it, and you're like, "Oh, this looks cool." I thought as of 2 weeks ago.
I remember asking you. I mean, like, what was that thing you shared? You know, and yeah, Devin ended up using it for racing, and he was like, "Hey, this is really good. Check it out." You know, and
dude, that's hilarious.
Yeah,
I'm glad. I mean, I'm glad it worked out. I'm glad I'm so smart, guys. I mean, sheesh.
Yeah, you are smart. You're a smart idiot.
Let us move on to the end of that game. So we got into Michigan, Ohio State, and then here's what's funny. So Ohio State can play dirty and do, and when I say play dirty, I mean at the end of games by doing things, but they don't like it if it's done to them, and they just throw a big fit when, like, dude, you had 60 minutes to like do your thing. You only scored 10 points. You didn't have that much fight, and you lost. So if Michigan wants to plant their flag, then like, I know you don't like it, but you had 60 minutes to not let that happen. Like that was wild to see that brawl. And Miles, you started in first. You're like, oh God, I love this.
Well, yeah, because obviously two teams I don't care about, but then seeing that a team that IU beat, we played like crap against both those teams. We were just barely good enough to beat Michigan, and then to see them turn around a couple weeks later and beat the rival for the fourth straight year after you have idiots online that are Buckeyes fans, or Suckeyes fans, I should say, posting before the game that, oh man, game hasn't been played yet, but we're going to kick their ass. That was probably the best part of it all. But then to see at the end, Ohio State get that butt hurt. Now, I'm not a fan of road teams going and putting the flag in the field, especially if they're going to turn around a year, whatever, years later and lose because the other team's just going to go and do it back. And it gets kind of petty because eventually you're going to lose at some point to your rival.
Right.
So I'm not a big fan of it, but the way Ohio State responded, like, yeah, you get in a little bit of a scuff, you remove the flag, you basically handle it the way Florida State did, and then it's over. But the way that both those teams, it went down, as an outsider, great TV. For those that are part of the rivalry, extremely embarrassing. And I'm all about Ohio State and Michigan because they suck, as Six said, they suck. He may have not been talking about necessarily on the field, but just in general, Ohio State and Michigan sucks. And we saw why.
Yeah, my favorite part in the end was when they were interviewing the Michigan player. I don't know if he was the running back or who he was, but he was like,
it was.
He was like, that's what I thought. He was like, look, y'all can't be fighting. Y'all just need to learn to lose. That was my favorite part because we see through that. To the average viewer, it's like, oh, he's trying to rise above it, but he was just trolling him again right there.
Oh yeah,
trolling him again. He didn't say you need to just be men about it. He said you need to learn how to lose. Which was like, oh man, and old Ryan Day, just for men, spokesperson over there with his Con Air beard, drawing on the Sharpie every morning. Like that dude, outside of Nick Sirianni, he probably has the second most punchable face in all of sports.
That's very fair.
He's always has this look like.
Stand down the goal line. At one time, I saw him lip to someone. What's going on? This is like 20 minutes after the melee started. He literally looked to one of his assistants, and you could see him lip. What's going on? Talk about
what's going on, bro.
Really out of touch.
You're going on to probably your next job next year. I mean, it's kind of shout out to Michigan though for like making the best out of a real shitty season, because like that's the way that it all is okay. Like there's been many famous quotes from Auburn and Alabama coaches where they're like, I don't care if we lose every game as long as we beat Auburn or as long as we beat Alabama, and it means so much more. And so, Michigan won a national championship last year. This year they're garbage, but hey, they close out the season by beating their rival for the 4th straight year. Shout out to them. I mean, that's a big time move right there. I got a couple friends who are Michigan fans, and they're pretty good folks. The few people I've ever known that are Ohio State fans, they're kind of douchey. So the way it goes.
Well, I had a Michigan buddy. He lives out west now because his wife's originally from Arizona, so they're out that way now. But he texted me super late Saturday night and sent me the picture that started to circulate online Sunday morning. Then was the 4 Michigan players doing the
dude, absolute loved it.
OHIO.
Oh my god,
That was
absolutely.
That was the troll that I liked the most. I definitely saw the interview you're talking about. But wall the melee, because they're like elevated too. I don't know if they got on the shoulders of some guys, but you see these players clashing, and then just 4 Michigan players in the background doing the OHIO.
They worked on it. They were like, classic. hey, if we get this win, we're doing this. And who's in? And like, that's not something on the fly you do. They worked on that and they had it ready. And shout out to Michigan on that, because we love a good troll. Everybody loves a good troll. And
we were trolling.
When you troll your rival, and what were they favored? Ohio State was favored to win by like 20 points or
19 and a half.
Yeah, like, come on, man. That's a good troll right there.
Yeah, we trolled that on Sports Idiot Nation. We posted, hey, because it was like, I think they were up by 3 at the time, but it was winding down. And of course, we all know they didn't hang on to that lead and they lost. But I think, we just posted like, hey, is Ohio State up 3 touchdowns yet? Like, just, man, it was all bad for sure. So again, that's a reason to follow Sports Idiot Nation. If you want to see all the trolling action and all the memes and all that, we definitely had that. My original thought was when the fighting was happening and it's like someone is whispering in Ryan Day's ear, hey, you lost a 4th time to Michigan. You are supposed to win the Natty. And by the way, your players are all fighting. And they pan to Ryan Day, and he's like staring off like George Bush being told about 9/11, where he's like, I did this. Like, it's so bad.
It's under attack.
Yeah, it's so bad. Like, that was the perfect. They had the same look on their face. Like, he's so just like in his mind, he's like, well, maybe I should just hit up Matt Eberflus and see what he's up to, because
I liked Taylor Lewan's tweet. He was like, there's only one man who could possibly fix this. He didn't say who could. He said possibly, and he has a picture of Mike Vrabel.
I did see that.
But as a Michigan player, he's like, could possibly. Like, that was the part to me. It was the good kicker. He's like, yeah, they still suck, but possibly, maybe,
I think, to be honest, I think Vrabel would do a pretty good job at Ohio State, honestly, if he went there.
I could not disagree more, and for that reason, please, Ohio State, hire Mike Vrabel. Oh my God. With the way that NIL is, and with the way that players are here today, gone tomorrow, and Mike Vrabel's personality, he would crash and burn at the college level, and I would love nothing more to see it on
that aspect. Okay. Yeah, there is more to it. Why do you think Saban got out, I guess? You didn't want to deal with that stuff. Yeah. Okay, so let's, Miles, real quick, wrapping up Saturday's games, how do you think, well, first of all, give us a reminder, when does everything come out? Because here we are Monday morning right now.
It's tomorrow, right?
So we'll be correct. Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Conference championship games are Saturday, and then Sunday. So before our next Monday show, we'll be able to talk about the final bracket, because the last bracket, the real reveal, will be Sunday at either noon or 1 p.m.
So
Sunday.
A week from today, then we can really get into it. Okay, so then predictions, Miles.
Okay, so what this really comes down to is obviously who is going to have the top 4 buys. There is a little bit of debate about who will get that last at-large bid. That will come down to then again the ACC championship game. If Clemson wins, they'll probably sneak a bye. SMU should still be in because again they should not get punished for losing conference championship game because that's something they earn, something extra.
Shout
If
out Rhett
Clemson-
Lashley. Shout out Rhett Lashley.
If Clemson wins, I think it's straightforward for the 12 teams. SMU is the last team in. Miami's out. Ole Miss, Alabama, South Carolina, the 3 lost SEC teams are out. As
It's
of
crazy.
right now, I think the committee is getting a lot of backlash for ranking Miami so damn high that they're going to drop them really far, which will make them even look dumber than the fact that, now you really dropped them and you're so inconsistent, blah, blah, blah. So I think the committee is going to have that love affair with Bama, sneak them in for now, remains to be seen. I think Georgia beats Texas again. The game's in Atlanta, so Georgia will get the 2. I think Ohio State bounces back and beats Oregon. I think that's. Oh, I'm sorry. Ohio State's not in. Holy crap. Penn State. What? Oh, Ohio State, you didn't make it? My bad. My bad. My bad. I totally forgot you didn't make the game.
I'm not trying to call you out, but I'm pretty sure that you planned that.
No, he would never. Quiet you.
Oregon is going to win the Big Ten championship game because Penn State's
By 30 points.
not that good.
Penn State.
Oregon is going to get the number 1 seed. Georgia 2 seed. God, I don't know who's going to win that ACC championship game. I think Clemson's going to, and Clemson's going to sneak up there in the top 4. I think Boise State takes care of UNLV. They'll be top 4, and then that would put SMU as the last team in. I'm not going to run through the other, like Tennessee, Ohio State, Indiana. They're all going to be in, along with Notre Dame, and then Penn State will still be in. I think that pretty much covers everyone else. And then I think Iowa State clips Arizona State, and Iowa State gets the last bid into the field as the 5th automatic bid.
Iowa State. Interesting. There you go.
So here's one thing I wanted to point out. Penn State's schedule. So if I'm not mistaken, West Virginia just fired their coach, right? So they started at West Virginia, then Bowling Green, then Penn State, then Illinois, then UCLA.
Those are tough games. That's a tough schedule so far.
USC.
Illinois are only a top 25 win in overtime.
Wisconsin. Then Ohio State, they lost. Then Washington. Purdue, they only won by 39 points. They're terrible.
Soft.
Then at Minnesota, they won by 1 point. Then
Golden Gophers almost got them.
And then they took it to Maryland. Okay. But again, Maryland, Minnesota, Purdue, Washington, Ohio State, Wisconsin, USC, UCLA, Illinois, Kent State, Bowling Green, West Virginia. Yikes. I wish UCLA had that schedule. Like, dear Lord, we'd be bowl eligible.
Right.
But you know what's
right.
You know
and
what's
that's
crazy
the
though?
whole thing.
What's crazy though, when
swipe at IU,
when you have a schedule, I was gonna say when you have a schedule like that though, like anything can happen when you get in a damn tournament game. You get in there and you just have a couple balls go your way, and next thing you know, you're pulling out a victory. So like that's the thing. It's like any of these schools. I mean, maybe not any of them. Maybe not Iowa State, but I mean, even Boise State could shock somebody. You know, I mean, if they just run the ball 85 times. I mean, and control the clock.
Look at Boise State's. What's Boise State's one loss at Autzen Stadium by 3? They lost to the number 1 team in the country, the consensus number 1 team by 3 on the road. So any given Saturday or Friday or whatever the hell they're going to play.
So like game. we're clowning on Penn State's schedule, but hey, all that's out the window when it comes tournament time. You know,
every team
matchup.
Every team has 3 players that if they lose them due to injury during a game or whatever, that it would be really hard if they get down to make a comeback. And if Oregon plays Penn State or when they play them, if Oregon loses those 3 guys, every single team has 3, I would say. That if those guys from Shedeur to whoever it is, if they get hurt or a freak accident or something happens, and it's like you just never know. But the betting gods will say that Oregon runs away from from Penn State. There's no doubt, but we're excited to see what happens here. It's definitely exciting for the new, 12-team system and who's in and who's out, who that 13th team and the 14th team who will say they have a right to complain when it's like, yeah, but you haven't even been at all in the discussion over the last 50 years, but someone's going to complain. It'll be fun to see what happens there. And so next week, though.
Let me throw in one thing about that point. When we had the 4-team playoff, which we did for about a decade, how many 2-loss teams got in the playoff? 0. Now we're talking about 3-loss teams getting in the playoff when never has it happened in a 4-team playoff that a 2-loss team got in.
Yeah, so you can't complain realistically, to your point. So I get that a team will find a way, and they'll have like 5 bullet points. Like,
the SEC, it's 1 bullet point. We're playing in the SEC.
We beat each other up, which is a valid argument, but it doesn't hold weight in the grand scheme of things. Like,
just win, baby.
Win. Yeah, beat those guys. Sure, you beat each other up, but win those games.
They'll also beat up on each other.
Yeah, right. Yeah, in that case, MTSU has their argument. Maybe not, but
Yeah, but no. All right, so that was Saturday, and then I want to get into Sunday. As we mentioned, other than the Thursday night game at Green Bay, in which a team never does well in cold weather, so we could have expected that, but we just gave the Dolphins a little bit, maybe too much credit. That game, Buffalo is still scoring in San Francisco. There's still more snow. That was a blowout. But other than those two, Miles, how many games in the NFL were not one score?
Oh, God. What? 3 then? Because you had the
That's crazy.
Dolphins, Packers, Titans. Go figure. And then I think one other game in that time slot, which is evading me right now, which game that was. But looking through them, and again, I was thinking, the games this week.
I think it was
not
Falcons.
That great.
Maybe. Was it the Falcons?
No, Falcons lost by 4 to the Chargers. Adam, do you have the score line up there right there?
Kirk Cousins.
There was one other.
Texans won by 3.
No, they won by 3. Yeah.
4. Commanders won by 1,000,000,006. Vikings won.
You didn't have to go there, dude. You didn't have to go there.
We'll get into that. Colts won by 1. Crazy. They had a gutsy play. Steelers won by 6 because that was weird at the end. We'll talk about that. Seahawks won by 5. Rams won by 7. Bucks won in overtime by 3. Eagles won by 5. So that's it. There wasn't any.
That's why it was evading me, because it didn't exist.
See,
so
Miles is a genius. We know it.
So the Commanders, Bills, and Packers won by a combined 9,842 points. But the rest of the NFL, the games were freaking nail biters. It was awesome. The one that I want to get into first was Saquon versus ya boy. And it at first was like, wait a minute, Baltimore was sneaky and going to be up 2 scores and like, uh-oh, they're at home. Like, what's going to happen? And then they didn't do anything for like 47 minutes. And Philly,
they did. Justin Tucker just kept missing everything. I mean,
field goals get you beat.
Missed 2 field goals and an extra point? Missed 3 field goals, extra point? I don't know. What happened to that guy, man? I mean, this season he's missed more field goals than his entire career.
Yeah, no, it was bad.
Crazy. He's on the pay. He's on the script. He's on the pay. Mafia got him.
Yeah, it was bad.
That opera voice, that soprano voice he's got has got him mixed in with the sopranos.
The fat lady definitely sang. Derrick Henry didn't look terrible. They couldn't get him the ball as many times when they're trying to play catch up. Saquon looked pretty freaking good. Over 100 yards.
He had over 100. I was going to say, I knew he had a couple big runs towards the end, but at one point he only had like 40, 50 yards, and Henry had like 55, and I just thought,
no, he had over 100.
I was thinking, well, these defenses go against, Henry and Saquon each day, so they know what they're getting into, But yeah,
right.
But yeah, Philly, man, we were clowning on them at the beginning of the season, but God, what have they won, like 9 straight or something? I don't know. Ridiculous.
Yeah, I hate to say that the Eagles are starting to look like the real deal because we've documented pretty well on this show that we all hate Sirianni and the Eagles and really don't care for them to do well. But just as a fan of football, I will admit that along with Detroit, I do feel like those two teams have kind of cemented themselves as I'll admit I would be excited to see Detroit and Philadelphia in a NFC championship game at this point, just because of the weapons that they have, the way they play, and it would be a guaranteed like really good game. I would think, and I do hope that game's in Detroit.
Well, we have this week though. We do have the story will tell the tale, but we have Thursday night Detroit Green Bay.
That is going to be really, really fun game, and it's in Detroit
on a Thursday.
That's what I thought.
Night? I thought that wasn't possible.
Why didn't we flex that to Thanksgiving? Like, come on, let's just swap the schedule. No
kidding. That would have been epic too. But it is one game, 1 week later, and I enjoy that because any week you get closer to the end for a playoff push and all that. Then Minnesota, I want to get into because that is Miles. That's your pick to click, right? We each picked.
I was looking at the playoffs as they stand right now, and because how they reseed after the wild card round, Green Bay will win their playoff game, and as the 6th seed, they'll go to Detroit for the divisional round, and then Minnesota's the 5 seed will go to 2 seed Philly, and I can't wait till Minnesota beats Philly in Philly, and I can come back here and say, I told you so. It will not be Detroit and Philadelphia for the NFC Championship game.
Now, that's fair. And I do like what Minnesota's doing. They are, every week we say they're the most underrated blank and 2, team. And here they go. They just won again. Now, they honestly, I'll be honest, they should have lost that game because the way it went down at the end. I think
you say that every week. They're beating bad teams. They won in Green Bay. They beat the living hell out of Houston. Without CMC, still it's the Niners in week 2. They beat the Niners. So they've beaten a number of good teams. And they're going to be 12-2.
No, that's fair. I'm just saying I watched the game. I had all 7 games in the 1:00 Eastern time slate. I had them all going, and I just, especially as a Niner fan, I was hoping that both Seattle and Arizona, and then LA later in the 4:00 Eastern slot. I was hoping that all 3 of those teams would lose and it would freaking stop snowing and maybe give us a chance. But so I was watching these games and they definitely played bad enough to lose. They truly did. But good teams, a la Kansas City, find ways to win. Minnesota has been in the habit of winning these close games, and they do. And it was a fun football game to watch. I'm just shout out to Minnesota, and I'm glad Kyler Murray lost. That's all I can say. Then the Colts, dude, like no one believes in them, not even the state of Indiana. But like, okay, they had some guts. They did go for 2, and Anthony Richardson barreled in on that 2-point conversion. Okay, like, I joked earlier and said, Drake May's not all that bad. I think he can be an NFL quarterback one day. Maybe he's not right there.
He's looking up to Tom Brady and saying, Dad, I think I can do it one day too. I can be just like you.
He can make some plays, man.
I mean, that's nice.
He's got a ghost in the shadow there that he has to definitely live up to, and that's going to be
Mac Jones.
Always, exactly. The legend of Mac Jones. The legend of Mac Jones, Jacksonville native, Jaguar hero. I mean Drake May could get it going, but I mean let's not give Indianapolis any flowers there, because I mean the Titans beat the Patriots, so I mean come on. But yeah, whatever. I mean, Anthony Richardson is a big dude. Of course, like it should be easy for him to run in for a 2-point conversion. I mean, if he would have had to throw it, they wouldn't have won. But since he got to run it in, it's okay because dude throws a ball like probably Helen Keller would. Like just he literally just like closes his eyes and just like throws it up. It's like that video we shared on Thanksgiving, Jared Lorenzen, like when he's flipping over backwards and just throws it over his head. That's like every pass Anthony Richardson has,
Miles at Thanksgiving.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, the shot run offense after 3 plates and 6 spears. Yeah.
Shout out to our Thanksgiving episode. If you have not caught that, go back and take a look at that one. That was fun.
Yeah, it was a good episode. Good episode. They're all good episodes. We're starting to really find our gel here.
We're really good at what we do.
That's right. We're going to brag and boast right here.
Idiots.
We may be idiots, but we're good at being idiots.
Be sure to follow wherever you get your social media, Sports Idiot Nation, for all the fun stuff. We're talking NFL football, and I want to ask you. Well, wait, what's that sound?
Mayday! Mayday! Cover your brains, boys and girls. Put on your tinfoil hats because this is Idiot of the Week.
All right, you idiots and sinners, for this week's Idiot of the Week. Of course, it's another Houston Texan. Azeez Al-Shaair. How to pronounce his name, I don't give a damn because that piece of human debris in the second quarter went up 6-0 at midfield, decided to lay a little forearm shiver right to the dome piece of sunshine. Trevor Lawrence knocked him out cold, put him in the hospital, probably took him to the hospital, and of course gets ejected. Starts a huge melee, the 17th fight of the weekend. And the reality is he's standing up for Houston Texan values, to be honest, because that's the way that franchise rolls.
Family values.
So Azeez Al-Shaair, thanks for 9/11. You are the Idiot of the Week.
It said thanks for 9/11.
I'm sure he was involved. He had to have been involved.
It was bad. When you look at the replays, so I'm sure by now, as it happened yesterday, you guys have seen this, but it's all over.
You can, if you haven't, you can go to my page. I've got a reel I made of it where I said that Houston, Texas tried to kill Sunshine. But,
shout out.
But with these people, these folks that I'm going to go ahead and assume have never played an organized sport in their entire life are just like, well, I don't think it's that bad of a hit. I mean, they protect the quarterbacks too much. He shouldn't be sliding. I mean, he's running at full speed. It's like, no, watch the video more than once, maybe even 3 times. You can literally see there is no reason why he couldn't back off. There's no reason why he even had to even try to get a hit on him. It's like, dude, he's sliding. What are you doing? Like, he's giving himself up. He can't slide for another 20 yards because the ground is slick or something. It's not ice. Like what is going on, And these people just come, and it's not even Texans fans coming to defense. I mean, there's in a lot of the AFC South groups that Miles and I both are in, a lot of Texans fans are on there like, look, I'm a Texans fan, but he deserves to be ejected, maybe even suspended for 4 games. Like that was bottom of the barrel play right there. And yeah, I don't care about Jacksonville. I don't care about Sunshine, Trevor Lawrence, but I care about, football players, being alive. And I thought that he was dead for about 5 minutes,
Right.
I thought they were going to have to bring out the shockers and shock him back to life. Cause we all saw Tua when he got knocked out and he was throwing up gang signs. Trevor Lawrence wasn't even moving,
Right.
So, and speaking of gang signs, it's like with the Titans and the Jags, the Bloods and Crips, the show of unity. It's like us yesterday in unity against the Houston Texans because that was just absurd.
Yeah, dude. I mean, and it's just people make me laugh because it's like, oh, it's not that bad of a hit. And it's like, well, you clearly have never played a sport in your entire life, And I'm not one of those people. It's like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. I mean, hell, I played football for 1 year in 8th grade, so it's like, I wasn't a football player either, but, like I said before, I've played soccer for many years and I've been kicked in the head and I've kicked in the temple. I've been almost concussed and probably concussed and almost knocked out. And, it's like, there's no room for that in the game, any sport.
I can tell by knowing you've definitely been concussed. I will say that. There's no
I can,
doubt.
I can cuss. You're right. I can cuss a lot. I can cuss. I missed my calling as a sailor. So.
Oh
Oh,
man.
I'm sorry. I thought you were. I thought that's what you're talking about.
And there it is. And
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah.
So the one last game, I guess, to get into, because it did get into overtime, so it was super exciting. It was two very, very, very poor teams, and I still can't believe.
Hey! How dare you? First of all, the Bucks are my click to pick. So you just back off right there, okay?
And
Back
they
off.
they did pull out a W. It's just that they beat Wayne Diesel, and that's very easy to do. And so shout out to Wayne. Check out our episode with Wayne Diesel.
Oh.
We had some fun.
Man, before we get into it, I totally left out a page. I totally forgot. We also have Wrestling Idiot Nation. All right, you just did a W, made me think of wrestling. So we also have Wrestling Idiot Nation, and our man Wayne Diesel is going to be getting involved with that as well, because I'm bringing him on as the admin for multiple pages. So shout out to Wayne. He's going to be diving in there back and forth about 3 different pages. But yeah, I can't believe I left out Wrestling Idiot Nation. Shout out to Matt Gwynn out there running that as well. And yeah, so anyway, as we proceed, I just could not let that pass.
We had so many pages. I'll be honest, I didn't realize that you had left it out. So maybe it's as much as my fault as it is yours, but it's more yours for sure.
It's Miles' fault, actually. It's all Miles' fault.
He doesn't even know what's happening.
Because I did notice you didn't say it, but then I was like gaslighting myself. I was like, maybe you did, because there's like 26 pages now, and maybe I just missed it.
Dial on.
I love how you said that so white. Dial on.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you've noticed this. Yes, I like rap music. I used to rap myself, but I am white, okay? Very white. When I go outside in the summer, I get sunburned, okay?
All white. It's all white.
He's J-Rock from Sunnyvale Trailer Park. Got it.
Once you go white, yeah.
Great show. Great, fantastic show.
So we were ending with the one of the best games, but so yeah, I mean, Carolina and Tampa Bay. Miles, your thoughts? Were you interested?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense, because they are garbage, and sorry to tell you, T.I., that was your pick to click, and they have ever since, they have been like losing left and right, and they're going to find a way to probably, I don't know, let's say right now, do they still win the division?
Well, I mean, if Kirk Cousins keeps throwing interceptions, sure. Matter of fact, I think he just threw another interception,
That's the worst. That's the worst that he's looked.
But we will say they lost Mike Evans. They lost Chris Godwin. They did lose their 2 best receivers. So, I mean, and they don't have a stellar running back. I mean, Bucky Irvin, I think that's his name, Bucky.
Yeah.
I mean, he I don't know what he did in the game, but I saw
the Winter Soldier.
He was on the bench of my fantasy opponent, and he had 22 points. So I was very thankful to see him on the bench. But he obviously had a good game.
He's got a really good gas station, though.
He does. That's right. He does. Didn't you give him a shout out on Thanksgiving, Miles?
I sure did. I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for his gas stations and his car
We're
washes.
thankful and grateful.
Off gas. Yes.
We are very thankful and grateful for you. Again, new shows come out every Monday and Thursday. So that means that we will see you Thursday. Okay, all you sinners, follow Sports Idiot Nation on TikTok, X, and Instagram. Like us on Facebook, and remember, the most fun way to watch us is on YouTube every Monday and Thursday. Be sure to hit the notification bell so you can be updated when new content drops. Remember, the podcast can also be found on the usual suspects of Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Always remember, don't be an idiot.
Sinner.